Good evening again. This week we continue our study of koans, and specifically the 12th koan in the Mumonkan. And this one is called Zuigan Calls Master.
Oh yeah.
You know that one. You got that one. You got that one. Wow.
Finally.
Good. You pass. All right, we're going to do the usual. I will read it, read the koan, the commentary, and the poem. Then I will reflect some, and then I will read it again with commentary, and then we will discuss. So first, the koan. Every day, Master Zuigan Shigen used to call out to himself, "Oh, Master!" And he would answer himself, "Yes." "Are you awake?" he would ask, and would answer, "Yes, I am." Never be deceived by others any day, any time. "No, I will not." So the commentary. Old Zuigan himself sells and himself buys. He has a lot of masks of goblins and demons to play with. Why? Ni. A calling one, an answering one, an awake one, and one who will not be deceived by others. If you take these different appearances as really existing, you are altogether mistaken. If, however, you would imitate Zuigan, your understanding is that of a fox. The poem. Those who search for the way do not realize the truth. They only know their old discriminating consciousness. This is the cause of the endless cycle of birth and death. Yet ignorant people take it for the original man. So there we have it. That's the koan, commentary, and poem. So, I skipped a step myself on this week. I usually say that one of the important things here is to know the history of the particular person. I didn't read up on that. So we will neglect that this week. But it seems pretty straightforward. The person, the speaker here, and there's only one speaker, is Master Zuigan Shigen. He's a master. So he's somebody who gets it, somebody who's woke. Straightforward. So I didn't worry about who he is. This is a little different in that most of these koans are dialogues, conversations between two people, right? And we've only got one person here talking to themselves. So it's just more than a little different. What's going on there? So that's different. And the catch, where is the sticking point? Where is this really odd? That itself, just that there's one person talking to themselves, is the very odd thing here, right? I mean, it's fairly obvious. This is the place where we get stuck, the place where there's that tension. So this doesn't have the valence of a lot of these koans where there's somebody who's having their own internal stress, their own internal anxiety, their own internal doubt, who's on the journey and is kind of stuck and is presenting this life and death question. This is very different. This is somebody who has fully woken up, who is expressing the Dharma, expressing awakening in their lives. And Mumon, the person who assembled this collection, he has taken this passage, this behavior, which was presumably seen by one of Zuigan's disciples and written down. He's taken this and put this in there because it illustrates something, it points at something. It's not the stress of the journey, but us understanding what's going on here allows us to waken up to that same truth. So that's what this is about. Every day, so I'm going to read it and commentary. Every day, Master Zuigan used to call out to himself, "Oh, Master." Who is the Master? We of course think Master Zuigan Shigen. But who is that? Who is the master? That's really what this is. If you figure out who the master is, you've got it. You figure out what he means by the master, you've got it. And that's the penetrating insight. So things that come to mind with this, out of the Torah, I am that I am. It's God speaking. I am that. This is. I obviously don't know the Hebrew, but it doesn't translate. This is the best we can do in translation to English. But I am that I am. In the New Testament, Jesus at one point says, I am before Adam was. Time, space, relationship, all thrown for a curve here. I am before Adam was. These are pointing at the same thing. And then in the Quran, I was a hidden treasure that wanted to be seen. So I made creatures that they could see me. I was a hidden treasure that wanted to be seen. Thus I created creatures in order to be known by them. Pointing at the same thing. Who is the master? O master, and he would answer himself, yes. Are you awake? He would ask. And he would answer, yes, I am. So I'm going to read something else here. This is going way back. The first one of these we read. In studying Zen, one has to pass the barriers set up by the Zen masters for the attainment of incomparable... This is the commentary on the first koan, which is Joshu's Mu. Does dog have Buddha nature? Mu. In studying Zen, one must pass the barriers set up by the ancient Zen masters for the attainment of incomparable satori, which is this penetrating awakening moment. One has to cast away the discriminating mind. Those who have not passed the barrier and have not cast away the discriminating mind are all phantoms haunting trees and plants. Cast away the discriminating mind. So we've got this sense of all of these different personalities here, or two different personalities in particular. But we've got you could take it as multiple ones if you go down to the commentary. A calling one, an answering one, an awake one, and one who will not be deceived by others. All these different voices. We've discriminated and created different personalities out of all of these different voices. It's like the analogous to people who have multiple personality disorders. We say disorder, but multiple personalities. And they're all unaware of the other personalities existing within this same physical form. They show up as one person, and then as another person, and then as another person. Often a lot of these people. There is one story of a medical practitioner or therapist who was working with an individual to integrate all of those personalities and help this individual, who was actually multiple individuals. And one of the personalities asked this practitioner to bring in a priest so that they could make sure their soul would be properly looked after. Is there one person there? Are there many people there? Who is the master? Who is the master? Never be deceived by others. This is a phrase that I love. This is, Nisargadatta says, do not forget who you are. Never forget who you are. Never forget who you really are. If we remember who we really are, and we are the master, if we can figure out if we can know who the master is. Now there's, the simple answer is, oh, I get it. That's the absolute. This is just awakened mind. That's what the master is. But there's a different valence here because it's alive. This isn't an abstract, unconditioned out there somewhere in the conditioned manifesting out of it. This is alive. It's engaged in the world. It's talking. It's active. So This is the master who many years ago was told, okay, you've got it, but you don't have the use of it. Now go to the hermitage up on the hill. Live up there for a few years, and when you've figured out how to get your food and your water and see the animals and engage in conversations, then you can come back down. Come back down to the marketplace. Because then you have the use of it, capital I-T. So on to the commentary. Old Zuigan himself sells and himself buys, or buys himself and sells himself. This is simply framing that there's lots of different exchanges going on. He's assuming lots of different roles. He has a lot of masks. I actually talked about this at the weekend in the Diamond Sutra. Ego, personality, being, and a self. One who dwells, not dwelling on, an ego, personality, a being, or a self. One who dwells on an ego, personality, a being, or a self has missed it. The word for mask in Latin is persona. It's obviously where we get personality from. All of these different personalities of goblins and demons. What are these personalities? And we show up with all these personalities every day. I'm sitting up here with one personality. We'll jump in the car and go home, Beth and I, and I'll assume another personality when Beth and I are together. And then tomorrow I have a couple of phone calls lined up and I'll have a different personality on those phone calls. Breakfast with my son one morning next week, I have a different personality. Most of the time we put on these masks without realizing it at all. These are just totally involuntary masks. We can bring awareness to this and see the masks we're putting on, see the roles we're assuming, the personalities we're assuming in these different circumstances. But can we really see what's going on? You know, who's putting on that personality? Because we know this is a personality once we start paying attention. Who is assuming that personality? Who is the master? And remember, this master is alive in the world. This isn't this abstract unconditioned. This is the unconditioned showing up in the world. Very real, very alive. The word ni is just calling attention to it. So, look, pay attention. So he has a lot of masks, goblins and demons to play with. Why? Calling one and answering one, an awake one, and one who will not be deceived by others. If you take these different appearances as really existing, you're altogether mistaken. None of these personalities, none of the different voices, Zuigan, whatever role he assumes in the world, that's not real. It's not concrete, it's not solid. It's impermanent. There's nothing there that can be called a self. Nothing to hang on to, nothing to land there. If, however, you would imitate Zuigan, which is just to imitate Zuigan is to imply that there's just this theoretical master. Your understanding is that of a fox. Foxes in Asian culture are tricksters. And in this case, tricking yourself, fooling yourself. Do not be fooled. It's not a simple answer. It's not a head answer. It's an intuitive answer. Those who search for the way do not realize the truth. They only know their old discriminating mind, their old discriminating consciousness. So when we're searching for the way, there's in the Sandakai, which is I think it's a 3rd century, 2nd or 3rd century poem, Chinese poem. The identity of sameness and difference is how it's usually translated. Towards the end it says, for those who know the way do not know the way, even as they walk on it. When you seek the way, hang on, I'm getting this wrong. Those who seek the way do not know the way, even as they walk on it. When you know the way, it is not near or far. When you are deluded, you are mountains and rivers away from it. So, the way is mysterious. It's mysterious. You do not know it even when you walk on it. When you know the way, it is not near, it is not far. If you are deluded, which includes thinking about it or seeking it, all of these things that aren't quite there, you are mountains and rivers away from it. This experience of to study the self is to study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by the myriad dharmas, and have the myriad dharmas come forth in endless enlightenment. When the myriad dharmas are coming forth in endless enlightenment, there is total peace. The instant that a self starts showing up in there, somebody who says, "Oh, I get it," somebody who says, "Oh, is this it?" Then the gap between that opens up the gap between heaven and earth. Just a hair's breadth of difference opens up the gap between heaven and earth, it's said. So that's what this line here, those who search for the way do not realize the truth. They only know their old discriminating consciousness. Once you pass the barrier, as it says in the commentary, then there's just settling into that peace. There's settling into knowing the master, being the master. When there's a hair's breadth of difference, you're not there. This is the cause of the endless cycle of birth and death, yet ignorant people take it for the original man. Deluded people. And that's this idea of the master as opposed to the actual master, this idea of a master as opposed to the living master. There's another koan, there's another little thing that shows up here which I want to read to you. Here we go. There's another koan which is a sequel of this koan of master. One day a monk came to see Master Gensha. Gensha asked the newcomer, "Where have you been recently?" "With Master Zuigan, sir," which is the protagonist in this koan. Gensha answered the new, excuse me. "With Master Gensha, sir," replied the monk. "I see. In what manner does Master Zuigan instruct his disciples?" asked Gensha. The monk reported in detail how Zuigan would every day call out, "O Master," and would answer himself. Listening to the monk, Gensha asked again, "Why didn't you stay longer with Zuigan to continue your training?" The monk said, "Master Zuigan died." At this reply, Gensha asked the monk an unexpected question. "If you call out to him now, O Master, will he answer?" Unfortunately, the monk could not say a word in reply and remained silent. If he called out to you now, if you call out to him now, O Master, will he answer? Years ago, I was on a retreat with Shahako Okamura, who is a Japanese Zen teacher who retired a few years ago. He's up in Bloomington, Indiana. And he, I was, was sitting, and I had this deep awakening, this profound insight, right? So I went and I said, it's just, bless you. No, I just realized it is sitting. It, is sitting, and it's like, there's no me. It's just it is sitting, capital I-T, it is sitting. And he looked at me and he smiled. He said, "It's raining." Same it. If you called out to him now, "Master," would he answer you? Same it. Clay.
Makes me think of Leela.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Explain what Leela is.
It's the divine drama in a lot of dharmic traditions where it's hard to explain
Yeah.
in the best way, but it's where it's basically God putting on a play,
Yeah.
and we're both the audience and the players, and we're all playing a part. But the God's the greatest actor, and a good actor can make you forget that you're even watching a show. And it's that idea that we're so engrossed in this drama that we've forgotten who we are.
It's related to the Hindu creation myth. It's the game of Leela. Is Shiv and Shakti bring the world into existence as a game. As a game. I was a hidden treasure, and I wanted to be known. So I created creatures in order that they could see me, in order that they could know me. What else? And the important thing there is, yes, and in traditional Islam, the I was a hidden treasure is God, which is separate. So there's dualism here. But the master here is who Zuigan actually is. And it's not monism, it's non-dualism. It's not dualism and it's not monism.
Or solipsism.
Yeah. Or solipsism.
What is it?
I'm you were quiet, so I'm just saying it for folks like that. See what I thought you said. What else, folks? Kevin.
Thank you, Gareth. So I've tried to count how many there are. I think 4, 5, 6 is the number I've gotten to as well. We talk about committee members or these buyers and
yes,
sellers, and but part of it, I guess, the commentary, speaking of, what is it, phantoms and demons or something along that, it strikes me as being, really similar to some of the stuff I'm working with Carl Jung's kind of psychology as well. And it's remarkable. I don't know how old this koan is, but these same concepts, I mean, it's part of being human. It goes back a long way, these committee members. And it's, at an intellectual level, it's very interesting to once you break them down and start looking at them like that, it's kind of amazing. I think for me, no self is a difficult concept, but then when you look and see that these things are actually constructed, then you can kind of, each of these the line between multiple personality disorder and normal starts to get blurred when you break them apart and see, oh yeah, this is a specific thing, but I know I've made it up. And so along, that understanding starts to creep in. And it's like, yes, this thing, it's still very powerful, but I know it only exists because of the conditions that I went through and training the seeds I've sown to build it up. And so it's always like a big mess. And then sorting it out and what do I do about it, that's kind of the next step. And so but it's just very interesting. I think that these concepts are as old as humans. These
Oh, yeah.
personalities and the way this works is very old.
It really is. And there was, as you all know, I spent probably more time than I should with Shakespeare, my old English buddy, Elizabethan and Jacobean poetry and plays. And it was very clear that the Globe, which was where most of his plays were performed, it was recognized in the Globe that the actors and the audience was in the role of God, knowing stuff that the actors didn't. I mean, it was really part of the whole play, was knowing that the actors were assuming roles. And in a lot of the plays, there is a narrator who comes on and carries on an exchange between the audience, explains what you're about to see, saying, "You're about to see a play. Forgive us for our weaknesses, because we can't do very much." This is like Henry the Fifth. We can't represent the whole battlefield and all the noise and the horses on the stage, so forgive us. I mean, it's just knowing that what we're doing is acting. And within the play itself, knowing that the roles the individuals are assuming in everyday life is an act. Somehow we seem to have lost touch with a lot of that. So yeah, it's as old as the hills. Somehow or other we are further away from it, most of us, in the way we live our lives than we probably used to be, which gives us an extra step to go. But the other piece, which is something you said, Kevin, I want to come back to. No self is a difficult concept, you said. If it's a concept, then you are a fox. And that's what that whole line is about. The conversation he's having with himself, it's alive. And so if the path is to see through the selves. Each of these personas is a self. To see through all of these selves. And when you have seen through all of the selves and you realize that none of them really exists, there is nothing in any of these selves that is permanent, that is solid, that you can hold on to. All of them, if you touch them, they just dissipate like incense smoke. Once you see through all of the selves and you realize there isn't a single self out there that can hold together, then you are left with no self. This is the Hindu practice of neti, 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 neti. Just everything you touch, you see, it's neti, not this, not this, not this. It is the Zen practice, which is a very direct practice of just sitting and trying, and you are trying to drop into a place of thinking, not thinking. It's not dull non-awareness. There is an active presence in here. It's not just up here, it's in here too. But there's an active presence, there's an awareness. But we're trying to drop into just that awareness without any feelings. I'm now going into the Theravada tradition, but without anything arising. And that itself, if there's nothing showing up and we're not holding on to anything, we've let go and we've directly intuitively experienced not self, which is what these koans are trying to drive us to. And if we follow the Theravadan practice, then the Theravadan practice, by constant examination, calming, seeing, this constant examination, incrementally subtle, allows us to see through at increasingly subtle levels. Oh, this too is illusory, this too is impermanent, let that go. What's left? The fabrication of the jhanas is a good example. As you step through the jhanas, the material jhanas and the immaterial jhanas, okay, this is so much more peaceful than where I was before. Boundless form, boundless consciousness, so much more peaceful, even the boundless form. But I'm still holding on to something. There's still a fabrication here. what is it that I'm still holding on to? What is it that I'm making here? Let me let go of that too. So it's the Theravadan practice is this incremental approach to take us to the same place, where we're looking at all of the selves, recognizing there is no self here to hold on to. All of them dissipate. And it's a concept. What is left? What is left is consciousness that does not land, the mind that does not dwell, the master. So we don't look for the master, we look at all this other stuff and realize none of the other stuff's real, and the master's what's left. Does that make sense?
It does. It's where I'm at in my practice. It's, a lot of these non-real things actually still have control over the apparatus, and so that's what that's where the trouble I have with no self. It's like, yes, but they also run part of this, that, and the other, and so but what you said in the process, certainly that's how I've come to understand all of these workings at this point. So.
And it will carry on until you let go of the last one.
Exactly.
Keep going, buddy. Keep going. Beth?
So I love this koan. And
Sorry, you love this koan, did you say?
I love this koan, yeah. And in the beginning, you said, this one's different because it has no, it's not a discussion between two people, the master and the student. But then later you said, and I really agree with, it is us. It is the one who is reading about it. Somebody heard this discourse that he has and writes down. And so the way it's written, we are all the student listening. And what I love about it is his playfulness.
Yes.
And it reminds me of Castaneda's concept of controlled folly. And I feel like I'm watching him at play with the relative world, the different personas, the masks, and in that, none of the voices are the master. The master is if I say more, I'll get into trouble, but
none of the voices is the master, and yet each voice is an expression of the master.
Yes. And there's something I wanted to say about, when he says, are you, don't let yourself be deceived by others. But I can't remember exactly what it was, but that whole idea of the play. And the acting and the characters, and this is the way one is when there is no self. Right.
And Leela is exactly right.
Yeah.
Once seen through, this whole thing is hilarious. It's beautiful and magical and mysterious and hilarious. It is so fun. We've got to come back and take it seriously because people are suffering, and it is so sad because it doesn't have to be that way, but it is. So we've got to take what's going on here really seriously. But from that side of seeing this as it is, as it really is, it's funny. It is a game. It really is. Yes, Claire, is that itself a comment?
Sure.
Well, it reminded of the one where you put the shoe on top.
That's
of your
right. Josh
head.
had put his sandal on his head and walked out.
That's right.
I like how his self-talk isn't negative.
Yeah.
Yes.
How often do we talk negative to ourselves?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
He's playing it.
It's playful. It's purely playful.
Mhm.
Playful and yet it's real. Don't forget. Don't forget. Katie.
It's also present.
Yeah.
It's not wondering, will I be awake or was I awake?
Right.
It's as opposed to, this kind of stuff in that.
Yeah.
What would happen? Who was I?
Yeah. It's there we talk about there being 3 times, past, present, and future, but actually that's not true. There is only one time, and it is right now. It's the only time. So this whole idea of the present moment, and I mean, the way we look at this it's flawed. There actually is only one time, and it's now. And either you're here or you're not.
Sure, it's asking.
Yeah,
Was I?
right. So he's focusing on the only time, which is now. There's a story of somebody on their deathbed who realizes this and says, "Oh, I could have been alive." They spent all their life worried about the past and the future. They never actually lived. Pick that one up, Goran, from Osho.
Yeah, I actually have a suspicion that there is not even now. There's an option that there's actually no time. That's a weird one.
Saying there's only one time is the same as there's no time,
Right.
really.
Right.
Because in truth, time is a construct. It's a
Exactly.
construct in which we create this construct because we live in a world where we created events. And so it's just how we drop events in. So yeah.
Yeah.
Katie. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sense of, the master, this kind of goes back to we're not alone.
Right.
That's, there's not like spirits, but there's, this energy that's consistent. And it's play out there.
Like a string, the string, the energy string, like we were talking about in karma.
Yeah.
So this is one of the most amazing passages in all of Buddhist literature is the commentary on Joshu's Mu. It's not even a page of this book long, but it's amazing. So I read you the first paragraph, the second paragraph. Now tell me, what is the barrier of the Zen masters? Just this Mu, it is the barrier of Zen. It is thus called the gateless barrier of Zen. Here we go. Those who have passed the barrier will not only see Joshu clearly, but will go hand in hand with all the masters of the past, see them face to face. You will see with the same eye, not with an eye like, not you'll see in the same way. You will see with the same eye that they see with and hear with the same ear. Wouldn't it be wonderful? And then goes on from there. And the point is, in that place, in that now, really now, when there is only now, and when you've seen through all of these cells, the master is the master. That's all there is. That's all there is. And it's the master playing this beautiful, wonderful game, which coalesces into the things we all call me's, which are actually multiple me's, all of these different masks. Yeah, absolutely. Is that, yeah. Goran.
Well, I have this on my table, on my desk, and my mom gave it to me. And I've been looking at it for 2 days now and pondering what she told me. I pricked my finger when she gave it to me, I say, ouch. And she says, oh, some people say it's so bad that the rose has thorns. She says, but you can also say it's so wonderful that thorns have a rose. I was like, Mom, where did you read that? She says, nowhere. It just came to me. I said, that's at the level of Dalai Lama. And then I'm thinking that's kind of like life, like that yin yang, like. So I can say, oh, it's so bad that this wonderful life has this fucking suffering, ouch. Or I can say, oh, it's so wonderful that from this suffering, all this learning and beauty and comes out, And it's just this play. It's all the one thing, that the thorns and the rose is one. It's this range of life, the range of existence, and it's all wonderful, depending how I look at it from this side or from that side, Anyway, just some musings by my mom. I bless my mom.
We all bless your mom. It's very sweet. Very sweet. Brings to mind two stories, both of which end up being koans, actually, but they're just stories out of the Zen. Since we're thinking Zen, I mean, that's where my mind is right now. So the first is Kashapa at Vulture Peak. Buddha gave a sermon, and then he held up a flower. And Mahakashapa smiled. And Buddha basically transmitted teaching authority to him. He basically said, you get it. What was that? What was communicated? Transmission is about this seeing eye to eye, seeing with the same eye as, tangling eyebrows with. That's what transmission is really about. What was transmitted when the Buddha held up a flower and Kaccapa smiled? What was transmitted? It's the master. It's this connection, realize being the master together. The other one, which is a layer beyond where you're looking at that flower, Goran, is, and this was Huineng, there were two monks who were outside, I think it was outside of town, and the flag was flapping in the wind. And the monks were arguing. One of them was arguing that the flag was moving. And the other one was arguing that no, it's the wind that's moving. And Huineng walked past and heard this going on, and he said, it's not the flag and it's not the wind, it's your mind that's moving. Or it didn't say it's your mind, it's mind that's moving. Goram.
Thank you. Yeah, that story about raising a flower, that's my by far away favorite story in all Buddhism. And it's this mystical transmission. There is no why. It's beyond words. That's the Mahaksyapa got it beyond words, beyond concepts, right? That's my interpretation when I read the story. But then later I heard all these analyses, oh, that's because there's a lotus flower and it has a roots and a beauty rise out of the darkness, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, as soon as you start thinking about it, you miss the point. That's exactly what Mahaksyapa didn't do. He didn't think about it. It was this connection beyond concepts kind of thing. That was my understanding.
Exactly. For one more thought, comment, question, if anybody has anything. Let's just do one very quick round. We've got literally 3 minutes left, so we'll just do 2 rounds of metta directed to all beings. So just settle in, settle comfortably, and I'll lead us through metta to all beings. So open up your heart. Open up your heart and embrace all living beings throughout space, throughout time. And offer them, all beings, these thoughts, these feelings. May you be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May you be free from fear. May you be healthy in body and mind. If you cannot have health in body and mind, may you be at peace with whatever comes. May you be held in compassion. May you be filled with loving kindness. May your suffering be a kind and a wise teacher. May you find joy and equanimity in this present moment, just as it is. May you be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May you be free from fear. May you have health in body and mind. If you cannot have health in body and mind, may you be at peace with whatever comes. May you be held in compassion. May you be filled with loving kindness. May your suffering be a kind and a wise teacher. May you find joy and equanimity in this present moment, just as it is. Wonderful to see everybody this evening. Lovely conversation. See you all soon. Enjoy the night.
Right.
Right.